Hello and thanks for joining us. This is the Signature TV 30 Minutes. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. In the headlines tonight, Nigerians react to the prosecution of NSAS protesters. Nigerian Air Force bomb bandit camps in Kaduna. RYU say the North will not produce a presidential candidate in the 2023 elections. As the Nigerian authorities begin the prosecution of some of the promoters of the NSAS protests, Nigerians have been reacting to what they call confusion in the government's position on the protests. President Muhammadu Buhari, in his address to the nation on the protests, stated that the protesters had legitimate basis for their anger. He said that he understood the economic difficulties in the country. Signature TV 30 Minutes went to the streets to get the reactions of some Nigerians on the prosecution of these young Nigerians the president said acted within reason.
Putting the NSAS protesters or the sponsor, it is very, very wrong. Because it is something that makes the people to come out to the streets. The expectation of what the people were expecting from Mr. President before he came into power was, the reverse was the case. It was out of that that actually pushed the people to the streets. So what I was expecting the president to do is supposed to have come out to the streets. He was elected by the people. If the president would come out to the streets and meet the boys, even when there was no security that was going with him, his life would be 100% secure. Because the people were expecting that he would come and address the people, talk to them, ask them what was their problem, what was grieving them, what was their grievance.
The one that will come up, it will be even more than the NSAS protest. Because the highest thing the government will do is to deploy police to shoot off everyone or army to shoot. But when you are pushed to the wall, killing for you to die for the sake of someone to come up, I think is the best.
The president is contradicting himself because he is now saying that the people that were protesting were exercising their right as a citizen of the country. But the federal government as also is going about suing them, persecuting them again. So meaning that the federal government is contradicting themselves.
A non-governmental organization, the Legislative Advocacy Initiative for Sustainable Development, and other civil groups in the health sector have called for specific changes in the National Health Act to enhance effective healthcare delivery. The groups made the recommendation at the end of a two-day consultative meeting in Abuja. Signature TV correspondent Abel Kure was at the meeting and now tells us more.
The civil society organizations were worried about the challenges created by the 2014 National Health Act to the administration and evaluation of Nigerian health delivery services. They identified the provision of counterpart funding as a condition for the establishment of health centers and called for its reduction from its present 25% to 5 or 10 or even its outright scrapping.
Public and private authorities. So private sector is included here. So if it's funded, we should go back to where the responsibilities and who provides for what, not in this section, because they are reflected here. The research is not to be considered not only from the public sector, but from also private sector.
When you're talking about health establishment, specifically in this one,
a lot of the issues we've been discussing in terms of implementation, they are supposed to be asking those questions of the executive on our behalf. After implementing this for several years, we will now have sufficient implementation experience to say, oh, this is the way we should go. But we don't have that. So a lot of this exercise is actually still, at the theoretical stage. So in this work, we must be honest with ourselves. If we come up against issues like this, that we actually don't have implementation experience, let us be honest with ourselves and say, let's move on.
The group also wants the inclusion of funding for security and public health emergency situation, as well as setting aside of substantial amount of funds for the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC. The consultative meeting expressed regret that no provision is made in the 2014 National Health Act for the funding of health research and called for an amendment to provide for medical research, which today is facing a stunted development.
Just enough, but managing the funding. In the Act, there's a committee, National Health Research Ethics Committee, which is provided for in the Act. Presently, the committee exists, but there's another committee which consists of 13 members on just National Health Research Committee. Right now, that committee does not exist. So, if at all we need to talk about funding, the provision in that act need to be implemented.
The resolution of the meeting, which are to be forwarded to the National Assembly and the stakeholders in the health sector, also urge Nigerian health authorities to respect all international treaties Nigeria is signatory to. Abel Kure in Abuja for Signature TV 30 Minutes.
The wife of the Kebbi State Governor, Dr. Zainab Bagudu, has announced that a vaccine to eliminate cervical cancer in Nigeria will be made available in 2021. Bagudu, who is the founder of the Medicaid Cancer Foundation, stated this during the official launch of the Global Strategy for Eliminating Cervical Cancer at the Emir of Wando's Palace, Birnin Kebbi. She explained that countries like Australia and Uganda have joined other nations to start vaccinating girls against cervical cancer. 24 hours after bandits kidnapped over 10 persons and killed more than 5 others on the Abuja-Kaduna road, the Nigerian Air Force on Tuesday launched an attack against bandits along the same highway, killing many of the criminals in their camp. 6 Air Force aircraft carried out the raid on the cluster of huts and other structures at the location serving as hideout for the bandits. The coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, said on Wednesday that the successful operation was carried out following intelligence report. The managing director, Nigerian gas company, Warri Delta State, Sheyi Omotowa, says encroachment on gas pipelines, vandalism, building and farming around areas where pipelines are installed pose a great danger to lives and property. The managing director who made the statement during a sensitization campaign against gas pipeline encroachment and vandalism in Ajokuta local government area of Kogi State, added that gas is an inflammable commodity which could cause a huge fire if a spark comes around any leakage in the pipeline carrying it. He advised those farming and building houses on the gas pipeline right of way to stop, as it could lead to disaster. The National President Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, Alhaji Yerima Shetima, has announced that the northern region of Nigeria may not produce a presidential candidate in 2023. The president said this was a decision reached following a one-day deliberation on the state of the nation. Shetima, who stated that the quality of leadership the North has produced over the years has been disappointing and embarrassing to the political expertise and integrity of the region, added there were political actors who were bent on remaining in power to the detriment of the younger generation. He maintained that it was time for the younger generation to rise up in the region. Justice Sylvester Nguta on Wednesday affirmed Senators Doye Diri and Lawrence Ewajapo as the governor and deputy governor of Bayelsa State after dismissing 6 appeals challenging their victory. Diri's victory has been challenged a number of times by the Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, had at different times also affirmed him as the duly elected governor of the state. 2 suspected armed robbers were set ablaze by an angry mob in Warri, the Delta State capital, on Wednesday. The suspects, who operate with a tricycle, snatched a handbag around Refinery Junction in a room containing huge amount of money from a teacher and also shot her. The Delta Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Onome Onowayoya, who confirmed the incident, said the assailants after the robbery went to a bar in Ekpan where they normally dispossess people of their belongings, but were later caught by angry youths and burnt alive. Youths around the neighborhood said the teacher is currently receiving treatment in an undisclosed hospital, although a 3rd suspect escaped from the scene of the robbery. Next is the stock market report. For more breaking news, visit www.signaturetv.org. Don't forget that the second wave of COVID-19 is projected to go up at this time of the year. Please do well to stay safe, maintain physical and social distancing, and wear your face masks while going about your daily activities. That's the Signature TV News 30 Minutes. On behalf of my producers, Abel Kure and Marvelous Obomano, I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Thanks for watching.